Okay, we'll get started in about a minute. All right, here we go. Any questions on the homework before we grade it? All right, obviously questions 2 through 6 evens, you had to make a frequency table. I had to look at that. Question 8 and 10 is where the answers start. I can call out. So 8 and 10, it wanted you to do mean, median, mode. And range, sorry. So I'm going to call these answers out. A is the range, B is the mean, C is the median, and D is the mode. So number 8, A is 12 is the range, 6 is the mean, that's B. The median is 6, and the mode is 6. On number 10, the range is 5, the mean is 6.3. The median is 6.5, and the mode, there are two of them, 5 and 7. All right, number 12, same thing, range, mean, median, mode. All right, number 12, the range is 7, the mean is, sorry, the range is 10, the mean is 7, the median is 6, and the mode is 6. 14, the range is 5, the mean is 2.8, the median is 2.5, and the mode is 2. On 16, they just wanted you to fill out the frequency. That should not have taken you that long. So I'm just going to call off the frequency from top to bottom. So this is 16. So 4, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3. Hopefully that made sense. All right. We will physically meet each other on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, you're going to take your CMAS. Jace, I have no idea when you're taking your test. You may be taking it on Monday, Tuesday. I have no idea. But the 8th graders are taking it on Tuesday, Wednesday. So we'll talk, and I'll talk with your 6th grade teachers too, just to make sure you know physically where to go on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, because I already took it. We did them all.
You already took it. All right. So Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll figure out a place for you. I'll probably get you a computer so that you can. We'll be taking the test, so there'll be nothing for you to do. So I assume if you already taken the test, then on Tuesday and Wednesday, you're going to hang and you're going to get to experience 6th grade math again. So make sure you answer all the questions. I have no idea. Do you even know what they're studying right now?
I think it's the coordinate plane.
Okay, good. That's a good review then. All right. And then so you won't miss anything from me because we'll pick back up on Thursday. All right. Here's your homework for tonight. This probably for many people is something that you've never done before. So whenever you encounter something you've never done before, it's either going to be challenging or it's going to be an easy. This one is an easy thing. However, since you've never done it before, if you pay no attention, it won't make any sense. But if you pay attention, trust me when I say the plot that we're about to make is a pretty simple thing to do. Just 1 through 7. These they probably don't take 5 minutes to make each one, but they certainly take more than a minute to make. All right, we're doing something called stem and leaf plots. Stem and leaf plots. Okay, plot's just a fancy word in 7th grade for a type of graph. We will differentiate between the words plot and graph or chart as we move higher in grades. But for right now in 7th grade, I'm sorry, 8th grade. Why am I saying 7th grade? In 8th grade, A plot's just a fancy graph. All right, so stem and leaf. Yes, here's a fern. It's got a stem and it's got a whole bunch of leaves. And in fact, our stem and leaf plot will look similar to this shape right here. So a stem and leaf, the actual definition is a plot that organizes data by showing the data in order. Okay, that's the worst definition ever. Doesn't really mean anything. But that is the definition from the book. The plot that organizes data by showing the data in order. So clearly it's got to have, it says show, so there's a visual aspect to it. And since it says in order, then the numbers are going to be in order in some fashion. But as I said, if you pay attention, this is pretty simple. For those of you that don't pay attention, this is not going to be simple. All right, I do need to write this down at least once. These are the steps for creating a stem and leaf plot. There's 5 of them. They will probably not make sense until we do an example. Step number 1 says put the numbers from least to greatest. Okay, sounds like we're doing a median. We're not. Step number 2, pick a stem. What the heck does that mean? Well, I'll explain it. Step number 3 is you write your stems vertically. Okay, plural. Writing the numbers vertically. Okay, I can kind of understand what that means. Put on the leaves. That's not very descriptive, but it will be once we do an example. And then write a key. I'm not sure what that means either. But those are the steps. And trust me when I say if you pay attention, the steps will make perfect sense once you understand what's going on. Whenever you write down steps, it's a fine line between putting too much detail and not enough. I usually err on let's make it as short as possible, and that way, if you understand what you're doing, you don't need to read a paragraph for step 1 type thing. Step 1, put the numbers from least to greatest. Step 2, pick your stems. Step 3, write your stems vertically. Step 4, you're going to put on the leaves. It is called a stem and leaf plot. And step 5, write a key. If you forget to write the key, that's the last step there, it just throws everything off. You have to write a key. That's the only way someone can read your stem and leaf plot, is if you have your key on it. All right, has everybody got that written down? We're ready to go? David, you got this?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Also, I would, I'll post the video within, 10, 15 minutes after class. I would play the video if you, as you're making them yourselves. All right, so watch me do this one. So here's a data set. It says step number 1, put the numbers from least to greatest. We did that for the median, by the way, so that's not too bad. Now, I'm choosing just to write the numbers vertically right here, not because I have to, but because it's kind of fit the space. Eventually, we're going to have to write something vertically, but when you first put the numbers from least to greatest, you can write them horizontally if you'd like. I like also writing them vertically because the next step, which is called picking the stems, vertically helps. So here's the rule. Once you have the numbers written, you're going to look at your first digit of all of your numbers, right? Well, the first digit, you're going to ask yourself one question. Are the numbers the same or are they different for the first digit? Well, I'm looking at the numbers written vertically, and it looks like the numbers are different. Some of them are 1s, some of them are 2s, and some of them are 3s. If the numbers are all the same, well, then you go to the second digit and ask yourself the same question. Are the numbers the same or different? You continue that until you get to the column of numbers where the numbers are different. Well, luckily for us, we didn't need to go to the second column because our first column, the numbers are different. Do you see that? The numbers, some of them start with a 1, some of them start with a 2, some of them start with a 3. It turns out that as soon as you find the first column of numbers that are different, you found your stems. The smallest number is your smallest stem. The biggest number is your biggest stem. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is 1 is going to be your smallest stem. And well, I can pick any one of the 3s, but 3 is your biggest stem. I'm getting that all from the first column. Now, if the first column of numbers, the numbers were the same, we will be looking at the second column. Okay, but in this case, we don't need to look at the second column because first column, the numbers are different. So I'm going to step 3, I'm going to write those stems vertically. What are the stems? Well, the stems are 1, 2, and 3, literally. So picking the stems, you look at the first column, that's from the left, and you pick the number, you find the column where the numbers are not the same. All right, so I'm going to write those stems. Notice I didn't write a stem for each number. I just wrote the 3 different numbers that appear, 1, 2, and 3. Now, if is there a skip, right? Let's say, for instance, the stems were 1, there's a whole bunch of 1s, there's a whole bunch of 2s, and then there was a 5. Like there was no 3 or 4. So your stems in that case would still be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're not going to skip any numbers on your stems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to have I think one example where that's the case. All right, we okay with picking the stems? Now we're going to do a bunch of these, so don't panic if you are a little bit lost on that. It says write the stems vertically. I left off one little step. You're going to put a vertical line. Put a vertical line. That will separate your stems from your leaves. We think about that picture of the fern. The stem was a vertical line. The leaves were horizontal. So now horizontally, we're going to put on the leaves. What in the world does that mean, put on the leaves? The leaves are your other digits. Your leaves are the other digits. We got the stem from the first column. We're going to get the leaves from the second, third, fourth, fifth, however many more columns there are. So that's where we get our leaves. Everything I just circled is a leaf. So let's put our leaves. My first leaf is a 0. Well, it's attached to stem 1. So I'm going to put a 0. I'm going to put a 0 on next to the 1 because 0 goes with 1. All right, that one is done. A lot of people at this point would cross it out. Go to your next leaf. My next leaf is a 2. And the 2 goes to the stem of 1. Do you see what I'm doing here? I would then cross it out. Your next leaf is a 5. 5 goes with a stem of 1. Lastly, an 8. 8 goes with a stem of 1. A couple notes before we move on to the next stem, which is 2. The numbers will be evenly spaced. Some books will have you put commas between. You don't have to put commas, right? Some books will put commas. But the numbers will be evenly spaced. All right, we're ready to move to our second stem. Our second stem is the number 2, and our first leaf is, let's see, the first leaf is a 2. So I put a 2 on number 2. Does everybody see where I'm getting that 2 from? That first leaf, this one right here, circling it. Second one is a 5, also goes to a 2. Notice my 5 goes directly underneath that 2 that's above it. We try to keep the numbers lined up. My next leaf is an 8. And that's it for stem 2. Now we go to stem 3. Stem 3 has 2 leaves, 5 and 6. 5 and 6. You have now created a stem and leaf plot minus the key. Now, I do want to point out a couple features here. Notice, I should do this in blue. Notice that vertically, all the numbers are lined up. You don't want to have a really big 0 and a really small 2. All the numbers are in basically columns. If you want to do this on a piece of graph paper, it sure would look pretty. Secondly, don't forget to put that vertical line that separates. The vertical line is right here. Don't forget to put the vertical line that separates your stems from your leaves. Lastly, you can easily make a mistake, so I would count numbers. I'm gonna physically cross them out, but I really wouldn't cross them out in real life. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 leaves. There should be 9 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I wouldn't really, like if I were making this, cross things out, but I would touch them with my pencil just to count. All right, there's your stem and leaf plot, except for we need to write a key. And what a key does is it tells the reader of your stem and leaf plot, the thing in red there, Well, how to read it. So you can pick any stem and any leaf that goes with that stem and write what it means. All right. Well, what does it mean? I'm going to pick one. For instance, I'm going to pick the 3, the vertical line, and the 5. That's one stem and one leaf. And I'm going to put the word denotes. That means means. So 3/5 means the number 35. You see where I'm getting that from? Now I could have picked any stem and any leaf. For instance, I could have picked 1/8 equals, let's see, 1/8 would equal 18. So now the reader knows how to read your 7-leaf plot. Now the word denotes is typically the word that is used, but if you want to use an equal sign as well, you certainly could. But I wanted to put that word denotes there because in case you see it, like, what in the world does that mean? All right, any question on, we're going to do a couple of these together now. Any question on the procedure? Stem and leaf plot. Jace, have you ever made one?
Nope.
David, you ever made one?
No.
Okay, cool. All right, now, the numbers can be very ugly. Check it out, very ugly. Step number 1, watch me do this one. Step number 1, we're going to put the numbers from least to greatest. Now, I always do it vertically. I always do it vertically. Why? Because it helps me identify what my stem will be. Now, check it out. We look at my first column right here. Oh, by the way, putting them in order from least to greatest takes a little bit of time. Notice when I look at my first column, they're all 7s. So now I go to the second column and I see if the numbers are the same or different. As soon as I get to the first column from left to right, where the numbers are different, look, the numbers are different. I got some 6s, some 7s, some 8s, and a 9. As soon as you get to that first column, they're different. You just found your stems. One key though, your stem will not be that middle column. Your stem will also include the first column. What do I mean by that? What I mean by it is your stem will be 76, 77, 78, and 79. Do you see where I'm getting that from? Yeah, you look for that first column where the numbers are different, but you can't ignore the other columns. If there were 3 columns, right? For instance, if this was 1,761 and they were all 1,000, well, then you would have, you would have a 1 in front of every number as well too. For instance, if all the numbers were 1,000, then that would be your stem. All right, once you found your stems, it's not part of the steps, but you draw a vertical line. That separates your stems and your leaves. All right, to attach the leaves, we do them one at a time, top to bottom, and that's why I also write them vertically. Our first leaf is a 1, and it's attached to 76. So I put a 1 on the 76. My next leaf is an 8. It's also attached to 76. My next leaf is an 8. It's attached to 76. And we're done with 76. I'm going to stop here. David, do you understand what I'm doing?
Yep.
Pretty easy, right? All right. Now we move to stem 77. It's got a 266. So 266. And yes, I'm speeding up because you should be understanding what's going on here. I'm also being careful on lining the numbers up vertically. Now we move to stem 78. What do we got? 2 5s. So 5 and 5. And lastly, stem 79 only has 1 leaf and it's a 2. I will say on most stem and leaf plots, somebody always chooses the very bottom to be their key, but it's not a rule. So you need to write your key. So this time I'm not going to write 9/2. I'm going to write 79/2 or 79/2, and that denotes 792. Your key can go anywhere, above, left, right, bottom. A lot of times it's on the bottom. And there you go. There's a stem and leaf plot. There is a stem and leaf plot. And here's one where you have to not use the first column, but you have to use the middle column for your stems. Now, I also want to point out, remember, if the numbers skip around, you got to include those stems, even though there may be 0 leaves. We'll do an example like that eventually. All right, so let's do this one together. Let's do this one together. The hardest process here is putting the numbers from least to greatest, and it takes the most amount of time. You'll spend, I don't know, a minute to 2 minutes just putting the numbers from least to greatest. You will actually make your stem and leaf plot in the same amount of time it takes you to put the numbers from least to greatest. So my technique is always go left to right, and I just pick out the smallest number. 41 is pretty small. Anything smaller than 41? Nope. So I write a 41, and I cross out 41. So I write a 41, and I cross out 41. Next smallest number. Well, I got a 47. Is that the smallest one? Yep. So cross out 47, write 47. Putting the numbers from least to greatest. I got a 60, but 53 is smaller. And it looks like 53 is the next smallest number. I'm keeping track of the time to tell you how long it took us to do this. 60, nope, 57. Yep, 57. This is the painful part of the process. And then I think we're at 60, right? 60, anything smaller than 60? Nope, 60. Usually I don't cross it out first until I 100% determine. That's a horrible zero, but you get the idea. Come on, thing, right? 75, 75, 75. Yep, 75. Why are you not? There we go. Did it again. I think I'm dragging my finger on the mouse pad is what's happening here. Then we got a 76. And then a 79. Is that right? Yep, 79. 81, is that it? Yep, 81. And then 84, 85, 86. 84, 85, 86. 84, 85, 86. Okay, as I said, that took over a minute and a half. That will take you the longest amount of time. All right, I will make it nice and oh, by the way, I'm going to count. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Now I'm going to erase all my scribble and make it nice and pretty. There we go. Done. They're least to greatest. Step number 2, we look at the first column. Are the numbers the same or are they different? They are different. So we will use the first column as our stems. So the stems will be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Written vertically with a line. All right, one at a time. And usually what I do is I just look at one stem and I write the numbers. So for instance, stem 4 has a leaf. Well, it has 2 leaves. It has what? A 1 and a 7. So I'll usually write those. I won't do it one at a time. So a 1 and a 7. The 5 only has what? 2, a 3, and a 7. Make sure you line your numbers up. The 6 only has one number, a 0. The 7 has 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9. 5, 6. I'm careful to line things up. And the 8 has what? 4 leaves? 1, 4, 5, 6. Lining things up. 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. We gotta put our key on here. I usually choose the very bottom. Most books, well, most time I've seen stem and leaf plots. It's not because it's better, right? So an 8/1 would be 81. Make sure you put your key. All right, how you feeling about this, David?
Good.
Good. All right. Tonight for homework, I'm flipping to the homeworks right here. Stem and leaf plot. Yeah. The questions 1 through 4 has you actually make one. Questions 5 through 8 have you make one and answer some questions. All right. So, David, do you, let's see what it looks like when we have decimal numbers. All right. Well, we're still going to write the numbers from least to greatest. Just watch me do this one. We're still going to write the numbers from least to greatest. Decimals, be careful, right? They're the numbers written from least to greatest. We look at our first column and check it out. All the numbers are different, so that's the one we're going to use. So let's see. I'm going from a 0 to a 6. So a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice there are no leaves for 5, right? 5 will have no leaves. It's okay. No big deal. We ignore the decimal place completely. We're just looking at columns of numbers. We won't ignore it when we write the key, but we ignore it for the stem and leaf plot. We attach our leaves. 0 has 288, 288. Let's see, a 1 has just a 4 as a leaf. 2 has just a 6 as a leaf. 3 has just a 5 as a leaf. 4 has 3 leaves. 3, 3, 5. 3, 3, 5. I'm trying to line up all my numbers. 5 has no leaves and 6 has a 0. So there's my stem and leaf plot. Now, the key here, 6/0, isn't 60, it's 6.0. So make sure on that very end there that you put that decimal in there. That's the only way the reader knows that 6/0 isn't 60, but is actually the number 6 or 6.0. So decimals aren't that big of a deal. Well, they are a deal when you put them in order from least to greatest. I mean, like I said, you will spend more time putting the numbers least to greatest than you will actually creating your graph or your plot. All right, one more time where the first number is exactly the same. So let's see. If I put those numbers from least to greatest, remember the key mistakes here will be that when you actually put these numbers here, you skip a number. Occasionally, you might put them in different order, right? But usually the mistake is you simply just leave off a number. Notice the first column, the numbers are exactly the same. They're just all ones. The second column, well, they are different. So we go from a 0 all the way up to a 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once again, we have to include that first column, though. So it's not just 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. Notice stem 1, 2 has no leaves whatsoever. Cool thing is that, well, the leaves now are pretty easy after we draw that vertical line. The leaves are pretty easy. So 1, 0 only has 1 leaf. 1, 1 has 2 leaves. 1, 3 has 3 leaves. 3, 7, and 9. 1, 2 has no leaves. And 1, 4 has 3 leaves as well. 0, 4, and 5. You're not going to know if this is a decimal number or not a decimal number unless you write a key. So the key here would say, I'm just going to pick the first one, 14/0 would be 140. And there you go, stem and leaf plots. Stem and leaf plots. Questions on making stem and leaf plots. All right, if it helps, we're going to skip this one. If it helps, play the video while you're doing your homework. For those of you that want this one for extra practice, you can pause the video, do that for practice, the same as for this one. I had 2 for practice in case we needed practice. Last thing of the day is, well, how do you read them? Like, what are they good for? Well, one thing they're good for, it's easy to tell the mode. You just look to see which numbers repeated the most. You're looking at the leaves. We'll do one here in a second. So you look at the leaves to tell the mode, and it's pretty easy to visually identify which number has been repeated the most. It's easy to tell okay, this is a pretty big concept, but the distribution just means the shape of it. What does the shape look like? Do I have a whole bunch of numbers on one side of the plot? Or are they all gathered in the middle? It allows you to tell you the visual shape. And as we'll see here in a second, that visual shape will tell you something. It's a little bit easier to show you an example, though. Lastly, we can tell the median pretty quickly because we simply just count the numbers. So here are 2 stem and leaf plots from a recent test. So here's a recent test, and here's all the kids' scores. So I have, let's say, Class A on the left and Class B on the right. These are their scores. Well, just looking at, you can tell lots of things. So if we look at class A, well, let's look at class A. Jason, what's the kid that got the lowest score there? What did they get?
On the first one,
Yeah.
50.
David, who got the highest score for the one on the left? What was their score? If this is the, oops, sorry. If this is the lowest score right here, David, where would be the highest score?
Where the 9 is, the 9 0.
9 and 0, somebody got a 90, but guess what the highest score is? You're looking at the right row, but it's not the 9 and the 0. It would be the 9 and the last number. So the highest score there is a 94. So if this is class A and the highest score was a 94, David, what's the highest score in class B?
97.
Now you got it. What's the lowest score in class B?
42.
Boom, you got it. Okay, so it's easy to tell highest and lowest scores really quickly, right? It is also easy to tell, believe it or not, which class did better on the test. Well, how am I going to know that? So how I'm going to know that is I'm going to look at the shape. Take a look at the shape of both of these. This shape starts with a few numbers here, and then it looks like the numbers increase. This one, the numbers increase, and then get smaller and smaller. The shape of it gets smaller. There's a hump on it, right? Well, guess what this means on this row right here? Jace, what do you think that actually means in terms of which class got the better grades?
Class A got the better grade
Why?
because more people got better scores.
They
on the
did. In
test.
fact, how many people got A's in class A?
7.
7 people got A's in class A. Remember, we're going to call the one on the left class A. So 7 people got A's. They got a 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 92, 94. In class B, well, somebody got the highest score, 97, David said, but only 3 people got an A. In fact, David, in class B, guess what most of the class got? What kind of grade did they get?
An A.
In class B? What did
A
most
B.
people get? Here's your B line. That would be an 80. Here is your A line. Guess what most people got?
A C.
Yeah, they did. They got a C because there's way more leaves on the 7. Most people got a C in class B. And even though just a few people got failing grades, right? 40s and 50s and 60s, most people got C. So even though, and I will say typically on a test, B is what most people, I get a few B's, a few A's, most people get B's and C's type thing. It turns out that the distribution of class B there is what mostly happens in a class, no matter whether it's math, science, or language arts. Teachers would love for their stem and leaf plot to look like what happened in class A, but for the most part, it typically always looks like class B. In fact, it looks that way so often, you may have heard about it. Now you got to use your imagination for this. Jace, do you know what this distribution, what its name is? It looks like this. You may have heard it before. And I'll try to draw the shape. It looks like, turn your head sideways. What does it look like now?
A bell?
And it's literally called the bell curve. And the bell curve says this: if you have enough people and they all do the same thing, generally speaking, some people are going to be really crummy at it. Some people are going to be really good at it, but most people are going to be average. And so that is literally called the bell curve. And the bell curve applies to almost everything in life that people do. That if you plot their results, their distribution, you get a bell curve. It even works that way for weird things like ages. If you plot everyone that's alive, their ages, you get something that sort of resembles a bell. You got to use your imagination to see the bell on that one. But yeah, it's kind of strange here. We would love our distribution to look like the one on the left, but most of the time our distribution looks like a bell curve. Okay, believe it or not, that's it for today. It's just make stem and leaf plots and a little bit about answering some questions, and you pretty much answered the questions for that. And we are literally out of time as we speak. So I will see you guys on Monday. You have a good weekend. And if you do run into any problems on the homework, just send me a chat.